Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of Superhero Speak.
But I think many of the people that love this character and that love superheroes in general have used these stories as inspiration to say, you know what, I'm going to do something good in the world. I'm going to make a difference like my hero when I was a kid.
That is my fondest memory of it, because when you're doing comic books, you want them to affect people.
Right.
You want people to care. You want to strike emotions. And I knew that Clone Saga was striking a lot of emotions.
Can you imagine Pulp Fiction starring Goofy and Mickey Mouse?
I can totally imagine that.
I'm sure somebody's written that one
quarter
too.
pounder with cheese in France, Mickey? What? Boy, ale with cheese. Yeah. I can totally.
See?
I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Yes, I gladly sacrifice my progeny to you, almighty Marvel beast.
But Neil Adams is somewhere going, it's my time.
How do you measure success? Hey everyone, and welcome to Superhero Speak. I am your host, Dave.
And John.
JD. Head poop. And this week, boys and girls, we have a guest with us. I was recently messaged on the podcast. I was a guest on the Gutting the Sacred Cow podcast, where I tore down the beloved Days of Future Past movie for all the X-Men fans.
Not that far.
I wouldn't say that you tore it down. I would say you attempted to tear it down.
Oh, so of course we have with us the one and only Kevin Gootee. How are you, sir?
Gentlemen, it's an honor and a privilege. Thank you for having me on this fine evening.
So before we were recorded, I told Kevin I had an issue, then I wanted to bring it up on the show. I realized after we recorded the show that what you guys, I mean, first off, I love the show. You know, I was honored to be on it. I've been listening, and it's an evergreen podcast, which is great. You guys don't have to worry about current nerd news or anything like that. But you guys did something precarious. You put yourselves in the hero position, and anyone that's a guest has to tear down a loved movie. You know, like. Ooh.
Well, do we agree with them is the question. Sometimes we go, yep, this movie fucking stinks. Sometimes you go, I'm not going to die in the hill for it. It's fine. Or you're a piece of shit and this movie's great and you're wrong. So
if you need somebody to nitpick, you had the wrong guest on.
No kidding. The nitpicky guy just said something.
I'll go after anything, man.
The guests pick the films. We don't, except once a year, we pick a film that we want to do and gut. So last year, Kevin and I did. He did 300. I did, oh my God, what it was? Oh, The Princess Bride. The year before that. Yep, yep.
I'm sorry. There's some things that are sacrosanct. You can't.
Nope. That film is terrible. Go listen to the episode why. The year before that, he did The Shining, and I did A Christmas Story.
You know who would agree with that Shining take? It's Stephen King. I almost said Spielberg.
We know.
Who cares?
We know he hates it. So yeah, that was on it. But yep, those are just some of the ones that we've done and our guests have done. If you think that's fucking infuriating, some of our guests have done the following films: Die Hard, Matrix, Back to the Future, Star Wars, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, Avengers Endgame. Let me think. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, The Breakfast Club, Scream. This week's episode is I know the one's going to come out. We just wrapped up Mission Impossible. Last week was, what did we do? I'm blanking. Oh, The Batman. And this upcoming week, as we again taping it, will be Beverly Hills Cop.
The original?
I don't know of a reboot, so yes.
There is a 2.
And a 3, but
3 never happened. 3 never happened.
Three fails my sequel test. Oh, well, actually, yeah, because my sequel theory is the following, gentlemen. You are free to use it with written permission from me. The sequel theory is this. The original film, so 2 parts. 1, you cannot have the sequel released more than 10 years after the original. It never works out. And the very rare exceptions here and there, I can give you a couple cases. And number 2, you cannot have the original be an R rating and the sequel be a PG-13. Never works out.
All of those movies you mentioned, they're all like mainstreamers. I was expecting stuff like Carnosaur or Manos the Hands of Fate.
John, you don't know our criteria. So what makes us different? and better than every other movie podcast out there. We invite guests to pick a film, as you know, we had said, that they find overrated or hate. But here's the twist. It has to be one of these criteria. It has to meet one of these 3 criteria. Why beloved, critically acclaimed, or financial success. So you can't come on and go, Friday the 13th to Part 8, it's a real piece of shit. Yeah, we fucking know that. So that's why we give the platform for those with an unpopular opinion to try and convince the masses, hey guys, wake up. This shit sucks, or it's overrated. And that's where we say, yes, we agree. It's fine. Or you're an asshole and very wrong.
So the Star Wars prequels are definitely within scope then.
No, because you're right. They are financially lucrative. But my goal is when people look at the episode every week, I want them to have a visceral reaction to the film being chosen. Like Beverly Hills Cop, you go, what the fuck? If someone comes out and says the Phantom Menace sucks, everyone goes, yeah, we know. So duh. You know, so people have done the only Star Wars films left I would allow is Empire. Jedi's been done. Empire and Rogue One, and I'm possibly leaning Episode 3 because I think Episode 3 is very good and very underrated. The other ones we allowed less Jedi right when we started up the show. But no way in hell would I allow for Solo, Episode 9, and Episode 1 and 2. They were just, everyone knows they're just subpar.
So no The Room by Tommy Wiseau, right?
No, because everyone fucking we all know it's a piece of shit. It's a satirical like ha ha ha. I love watching it because it sucks so hard. But everyone's done that already. Everyone's bashed The Room. Now The Artist, I mean, would people get angry about that? Would I allow that on the podcast? Probably not. I mean, it was an enjoyable film. I liked it. I'm sure you guys probably did too. But you can give 2 shits if The Artist gets taken down? No, you are not.
See, but that one you could do the opposite. Like that one, yeah, it's so bad that it's good. So you could have somebody come on and
done that. People, How Did This Get Made does that. We're not How Did This Get Made. We're doing the films people love, made a shitload of money or won awards, and have the balls to come on and say, fuck this film and stand against the masses. That's what we do. We'll never shitting on bad films. Everyone does that. So that's not us.
So what's your stance on Titanic?
Oh.
It's been done. We did it. Karen did it. Oh God. Karen Margolis did it.
I need to listen to your show. This sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it does.
I'm a fan.
Thank you. Go on the old podcast platform of choice. Click subscribe and say 5-star rating, 2 or 3 sentence review, if possible. Every week, every Friday or Saturday.
I'd be rooting for the guy that's like tearing it down. So
I have one. I bet
sometime you do. Go ahead.
Inglorious Bastards.
Ooh.
Did it? It's been done.
Really? I hate that movie.
Oh, thank you. I tried to get through it. I couldn't even get through it.
I hate it.
All the Tarantino, I shouldn't say all, the ones we've that have been done. Pulp Fiction, Inglorious, Hateful Eight, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Django has not been done, nor is Reservoir Dogs. And Jackie Brown. Those are the. Am I missing one more? Oh well, Death Proof and whatever. I don't think Death Proof would count.
I would be surprised. Death Proof sucks, but I'd be surprised if that met your criteria.
I don't think it sucks. I don't listen.
I hate
it's it. One of the. I don't hate it. It's fine. I don't. But it's definitely not. It doesn't pass my remote test, which of course being, yeah. But it says I don't think it's. I don't. It doesn't suck. It doesn't suck.
I like your criteria. I like this is very intriguing.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry that I haven't listened to it before, but I'm gonna do a big old
shame on you
this weekend. I know shame upon me.
He didn't even listen when I was on there, so you know.
When have you listened to the podcast I guested on, Dave? Thank you.
If since you guys are fans of obviously the comic book stuff, one guy besides Dave makes it his personal vendetta to take down X-Men movies. He's done X-Men 1 and 2.
Wow.
I mean, and another guy did Logan as well.
Wow. Huh. What a brilliant concept for a podcast. I love this.
You know, compliments find your way right here, right to my heart, baby.
Oh,
yes, it is brilliant.
I like it.
I will take a bow and say I also agree. I think it's brilliant. But thank you. I hope you jump on and download everything right now while we talk. Pull it out, not your penis, the phone. That'd be good.
It's not a video show, so you got to clarify that.
Yeah,
the phone is out, not my penis. Although I could call my penis.
Or the penis is out and not his phone. See, guys, if it's not a video call, you don't know what we're doing here. Ha ha. Meow.
All right then.
There you go.
So I'm gonna start with JD. You've been quiet a little bit here.
I have.
How's your week been?
There's stuff going on that I cannot talk about as of yet, but I want to put a pin in that because I had an interesting week. but I can't talk about stuff yet. This is like a career changing stuff. So we're gonna put a pin in it. I'll say intriguing.
Then why bring it up? I let people go. I can't talk. I got something going on. I can't talk about it.
Because I actually want to talk about it. But
it's completely awesome, and it'll change everything about what you think about the world. But I can't say anything.
Not the world. Not the world.
So the most guilty people who do that are stand-up comics, because I'm a comic and I see it. People are like, got something big coming, can't talk about it. Shut the fuck up.
Okay,
until you sign on the line that is dotted. I have something too, but I haven't said shit except for 5 people.
Does that have something to do with something you kind of mentioned last week on the show?
This kind of came up out of the middle of nowhere.
Oh, okay.
Do I need to be killed again?
Good job. Well, you're going to be killed many times. Then nothing will stop that from happening. I plan on killing you often and frequently.
I'm so happy.
Other than that, just spent the week. Summertime's here, so I got an all-star team I'm coaching.
The look on Kevin's face is priceless.
That's okay.
See, JD is an author, and he's written books. And when he does his Kickstarter, one of the things is
reward tiers.
One of the reward tiers is you can be a character in the book. You can be a character who gets killed. John keeps buying the characters who gets killed.
I've been killed 3 times. I can't wait. I one more and I get a free Sunday.
That's true.
They got a punch card. That's cute.
Yes. So people are clear. JD's not actually going to kill John yet. So
day is young.
How was your week been, John?
I'm coming down off. I was saying this before we started recording. I'm coming down off a week of vacation. I took a little time off for they're redoing my driveway, and I figured might as well take Tuesday off too, since Monday's a vacation. So, I got some stuff done. Tried to start working on the book again. Eon Timeline is really interesting. They've updated it so that it can actually sync with Scrivener while you're typing. So now it's really interesting that all your timeline points, you can like attach them to points in your manuscript. So, and you don't have to open just one or the other. You can have them both open at the same time, which is really nice. So beyond that, I'm just lamenting all the things that I did not get done that I wanted to, but I did get a lot of other things that I wanted to get done. So I'm just, kind of enjoying my last day of vacation.
There's done, and then there's done. Just making sure we clarify.
Oh, and while I was gone from work, I get a call on Wednesday. It's like, they decided to take a stick and just mix the entire organizational chart around with it. So apparently everything's changed. And now when I go on a Monday, like I'm going to be in a new group and all this, it's like, the hell, I'm away for 1 week and everything goes to hell. So it should be interesting. That's all work stuff. Oh, I'm reading again. So JD, I'm going to catch up on all your books now.
Cool.
I actually read an entire book today.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I'm being rude because we praised Kevin and his podcast and we talked about it. I didn't just ask, how are you doing, Kevin? Especially since I saw you last.
Well, we had time,
Yeah.
You know what? Do we even mention the name of the fucking podcast? Everyone goes, what is it about? Gutting the Sacred Cow. I don't know if I mentioned that or not. It's Gutting the Sacred Cow. Okay. Yeah. The artwork, I think, is fantastic. Yeah. How am I? I'm fine. I have an endeavor, too, that I'm waiting to get a contract signed for, but I can't talk about it now. It's not there. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. We'll see. But no, it's just, like you all said, summer's here. Fuck the winter, and let's go out. Yanks are rolling. Rangers, today they had a loss, but, life's all right. Not bad. Having fun.
Yes, go Yankees, get some field goals or whatever they get.
No. You're the sports guy. What was the thing? Yay, local sports team. That's what it is. The Simpsons, right?
Yeah, if you go to like defranco.com, he's got like merch, and one of the things is a t-shirt that just says sports on it with the exclamation point. And it's like, that's the kind of thing I'd buy because I have no idea what. I don't follow it at all.
I picked it up pretty fast as soon as you started saying that. I go, I got you.
And you revealed to everyone that you either live in New York or Northern Jersey somewhere.
I'm in North Jersey. Yeah. I'm in North Jersey. Yep.
Yankees. Ugh. And Rangers. Ugh.
Don't me. They're the best team in baseball, and numbers don't lie, my friend.
Hey, I was a Yankees guy too because I'm originally from Connecticut. Sorry.
There you go.
You don't know sports, John.
One of the first mistakes I made when I moved down to Pennsylvania was I went into a sports bar and like there was a Yankees game on. I went, yeah, Yankees. And everybody in the bar stopped and turned around to look at me. And that's when I realized that Philly fans are freaking
Are the
dangerous.
worst.
Yes.
The worst.
But
John,
it
the
was
first mistake the first mistake was not you going to the bar and saying, "Yay, Yankees." The first mistake you made was actually moving to Pennsylvania. That was your first
right.
mistake.
Yeah, true. If two divorces says yes.
Look at you old master coxman, you.
So yeah, but it was only like after I moved here, it was only like a year later that I guess they threw an opposing team's fan off of the second floor balcony during an Eagles game. And then they came up with Eagles Court.
Sounds about right. Sounds about right.
I know, right?
Those miscreants.
Yeah, nothing like that happens in Chicago ever.
Never.
Right,
We're the White Sox are so mediocre right now. I don't even want to talk about it. We have the worst manager in baseball. We had a young team with a lot of potential that's doing
He's
absolutely
going to the Hall of Fame. He's in the Hall of Fame, that manager. I wouldn't say he's the worst, but
for now
he's
he
not.
can't. He's old and can't relate to the modern player. That's the problem. And when the players
maybe it's that your bullpen. Maybe it's your bullpen.
Bullpen's also terrible. That is also true. But you're also not hitting very well. So
no, you're not. Man, my buddy Bill Schultz from Morning Show. He's a huge White Sox fan from Chicago. So we usually go to the Yankees White Sox games. I went last year. I had the distinct honor and pleasure of going on that Friday night game drunkenly, going, watch it. It's first and second, top of the ninth, no outs. White Sox up. And I go, watch him hit into a triple play. Next pitch, 5-4-3 triple play. These four guys, he called it. He fucking called it. And Schultz goes, how? And of course, the Yankees win in the bottom of the ninth, and everyone goes home happy. But yeah, it's like you guys, we were beating the shit out of you until this year. The last homestand, we lost 2 out of 3 to you guys.
So there's your next movie, Major League. You should do.
Oh,
no one's done it. I would 100% be allowed on here on this podcast. That's one easy one. We have what else we have coming out down the pike? Tommy Boy and Apocalypse Now has been selected too.
Oh wow. That's dark.
I can see that. I can see why somebody would hate Apocalypse Now. I don't know if I agree, but I get it. I get the criticism on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see
People got balls. So I'll tell you what, you watch a lot of these films again, and because I'm the one who usually does all the booking, and I'll get the film choice first, and I'll know. I go, oh, this motherfucker is in for it, or oh, this is gonna be an easy one. But the first time you watch it, so Mike Price, actually, he's a writer for The Simpsons. He did his first time. He did Batman Returns. And I go, good luck, dude. Batman Returns is great. Watch it again. Oh no, it's not as good as we all remember it. So we also did Batman '89 very recently, and boy, 12-year-old Kevin was really pained to have 45-year-old Kevin tell him, it's not as good as you remember it. It's got a lot of problems.
See, we actually re-reviewed those movies, and we kind of went at it from the opposite point of view, of not thinking they were very good and being surprised, because I think we went into it thinking, these movies aren't as good as you remember them. And like, oh, it's not as bad as I thought. So we went the complete opposite route of thinking these are terrible and thinking, that's all right.
Yes, but more of remembering movies fondly and then going back and watching them and thinking they're terrible later on. So I have a question, Kevin.
Yes, sir.
This is obviously a nerd-centric podcast, and we're all watching Obi-Wan. Are you currently watching Obi-Wan?
I am. I did not get a chance to. It's been a busy ass week to watch episode 3 yet. First 2, I knocked on the plane. Don't say a goddamn word. With any luck, actually, I will tonight. You know what? Fuck it. I'll make it a point to do it while I type up my notes for the podcast. I like what I saw of the first 2 episodes. I'll have to watch Barry tonight too. God damn it. Yeah. But the first 2 episodes are good. I like the first 2 episodes. I'm like, all right, I'm there. It was funny. People go, whoa, how does Obi-Wan not recognize Leia? I go, hey, dickhead, he was dead when she was with the other guy when went to the Death Star. So he would never have met her, you morons.
I didn't get to see the 3rd episode too, funnily enough.
I saw it.
Cool.
Yeah.
We'll cover it next week. We'll
cover it next week. Yes, John. Definitely watch it. Kevin, definitely watch it.
I am.
Yeah. The memes are strong with this one then.
Yeah. It's good. It's really good. So I'll leave it at that.
As long as it's better than Boba Fett. That's all I want.
And there's people that are screaming into their phones right now because of everything that happens in episode 3.
Oh, so Luke shows up again, right? I mean, come on.
No Luke yet. Yeah. All right. So then,
no Jar Jar yet either. Shit.
No, God, no.
All right, we'll see. Can't talk Obi-Wan. We're gonna go to John's favorite part of the show. So we do a section called Social Media Madness.
You know, slander is a thing, Dave.
Where We take tweets and replies to some of our tweets and things that are tweeted at us, and we talk about them on the show. They're good conversation starters. So one of the things we talked about last week, the trailer for Andor came out. Did you see the trailer? Came out from Star Wars Celebration. There was a teaser trailer. There's a new Disney series called Andor based on the character from Rogue One. I
didn't see that trailer. I don't think I did. If I did, it didn't resonate with me. If I did, which I don't think I did.
Right, but the basic question is, like, are people excited for this show? Do they really want a show about him? This is kind of what we talked about last week. And Teak Lore said, no, Disney killed off any interest.
I don't know. I don't know about that. Like, he meant in general with all Star Wars things.
I don't know. Or if he meant just interest in this show in general. It's very vague. But, well, there are a lot of people who don't like any of the Star Wars stuff since Disney bought it. But then again, there's all these people who love Mandalorian and now Obi-Wan. So
whiny nerds.
Whiny nerds? Yeah. No, when we talked about the possibility of fatigue, though, with something like this show.
I was just going to say, I mean, Disney doing all this, it's just, isn't it weird that we thought at this age, we're like, I'm sick of Star Wars shit or even Marvel shit, because we were getting one film every 8 years. And now it's just, it's been beaten to a drum. They're stretching out so thin for plot lines to develop new characters. Like, all right. And then they go and say, let's go to the well and do Hawkeye. No one fucking cares. I didn't see Moon Knight. I didn't give a shit. I tried. Scarlet Witch was good. I like that. The Loki, who gives a shit. Same thing with Star Wars. I mean, Mandalorian's good. But then they come out with Boba Fett. Who gives a shit? I mean, they fucked that up. By the way, Boba Fett, one of the most overrated characters of all time. Without question.
Well,
question.
After seeing that, yeah. I mean,
no. You were thinking I said this years ago saying this. Before he goes out in Jedi, he goes out like a complete bitch. Everyone's saying how badass he was. He went out like a bitch. He had 8 minutes of screen time in Empire. Okay, nothing that crazy that warrants that kind of adulation. Then it comes out in Jedi, and 2 scenes later, it's done. And everyone goes, Boba Fett's a bad. No, he's not. He's so overrated. I'm sick of that train. I'm sick of that.
I see which side you were on the Return of the Jedi episode for your show. It's like
wrong. I like Jedi a lot.
Even the teddy bears.
Look, we know. Listen, we know they're annoying, but the third act is so fucking good. Well, Luke, Luke Emperor Vader shit is gangbusters. That whole tension is brought to a perfect boil and then released magnificently. And I hate to say it, Han Solo sucks in this film. It's just he's mailing that shit in his performance. Yeah. Han Solo wasn't Han Solo in Jedi. And after I've seen that film how many times, but now with my jeweler's loop on with this podcast, I go, Jesus Christ, this isn't the guy we fell in love with in 1977. This guy is just fucking sleepwalking. That's a better one. Moonwalking would be kind of cool. Sleepwalking through a performance in Jedi. And it's just like, again, it slogs here and there. First to admit it, but I'm still fucking down with Jedi. The Emperor is so goddamn good in that. It really it drives the film.
I agree with the Boba Fett statement, because he's like, much like Darth Maul a generation later, he gets by in his look, right? He looks cool. So people think he's cooler than he is. And then when he has opportunities to do things, they really don't do much. At least Darth Maul has a cool lightsaber fight that he dies in.
Yeah. Oh, that's
dies,
great.
Quote unquote. But I mean, it's not really doesn't really live up to the potential of what you think he's going to be. Boba Fett's completely he doesn't do anything of any value other than stand around and look cool.
You just described the consciousness of the entire United States. Basically, it looks cool. Yeah, no substance, but it's cool.
Fair.
It's why advertisers do so well here, and politicians. But anyway,
you digress. All right, so. John, we actually got a question from a listener this week.
I didn't do it. Nobody saw it. You can't prove anything.
Casson Warren, who's at authors COH, said, write to us at Superheroes Pick, why is Batman getting darker? He represents justice when so little is found for the common person. He is the patron of the downtrodden, the knight who gives all he has for the crusade as injustice becomes more prevalent, as it is in Gotham. There's more. The means to connecting the wrong requires immersion in the darker corners of society. As he has access we can only dream. He has the means, the powers The powerless do not. Injustice, the what?
Here. He is the means, the powerless do not. Injustice is oppressive and allowed to breathe. But Batman stands in the path of its domination. He has become an icon of doing what is right, and what is right requires skipping the bureaucracy, and that has allowed injustice to thrive. His mean does justify the ends. And that tale requires breaking laws, bones in the backs of powerful who have enjoyed a life without consequence. Dark methods to battle the dark.
That's not bad.
This must have been one long dump. This guy or girl wrote this long ass tweet. I mean,
Obviously, because we were talking about
10,
Batman
15
not that
minutes,
long ago.
my
So
God.
this obviously was in.
There's a lot more thought behind that than most of the tweets we get. I mean,
No, for sure.
What are a lot of them? Fuck you, you suck. Is that what the tweets are? Like, if I'm kind of picking in the vibe up you're putting down there, or
pretty
no?
much, yeah. It's-
No,
Okay, all
no,
right.
we
I
don't
mean,
get a lot.
no?
We don't get a lot of those. We get a lot of like
Okay.
bad opinions and bad thoughts. But a lot
And
of people don't listen to the show.
Welcome to the internet, fellas.
But like they're from
Me,
mainly
it's
people
Twitter,
don't listen
but-
to the show. That's mainly from people who don't
okay.
listen.
Yeah,
this,
this-
person actually, you can tell, listens to our show.
and puts thought behind
Sure.
things.
Right.
So, you know, it's
but
kinda neat.
they've described Superman, right?
Right.
That's Superman, not Batman.
No, Superman, the means don't justify the ends. It's the opposite for Superman.
Right,
or it's
he's
supposed to be.
justifying. This person is justifying why Batman is getting darker, but that, like, because the joke we were talking about how you go from Batman 66 to Batman 89 to Batman Begins
Returns.
to now the Batman, which is the darkest Batman we've got on film so far. You know, he got darker in the comics in the 70s. We all know this, but
Yeah, soon you're gonna have to turn your contrast all the way up on your TV to be able to see the movie.
but that's the point, is that, like, one of the issues, you can't have Superman be, we talked about this before, you can't have Superman be dark because then there isn't a counterpoint with Batman being dark. But he's getting the whole, our argument was him using guns and killing is not Batman. Like,
Right.
so
It wasn't Batman versus Superman.
get us started on that.
Yeah.
But by the way, did it on this very podcast.
Nice. What was the result?
What do you think?
Yeah. I thought so.
Take a guess. There are cool moments in there, very cool moments. Some of the fighting scenes are very Arkham Knight-ish, Arkham Asylum-ish, and I'm all for that. All for that.
I don't
But
know if I agree with this. I don't know if I agree with this person's take. In fact, I definitely don't agree with this take. I mean, like Batman. I mean, the whole point of that movie was Batman can't. I mean, like literally at the end, he's like, I can't be this dark. So it was dark on purpose, right? Like it was trying to make that
Yes.
statement. Like, yes, Batman is getting darker, and then he's literally in the sun is literally coming up and shining on him when he's giving a soliloquy about why he can't do this anymore. You know,
Right, the Batman, yes.
so I mean that's steering into the skid.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Fair enough.
So this is a good one. So we've been talking about how actors in the MCU are actual people. They age out of things. They can't keep going forever and whatnot. And Drew C., another repeat offender on Social Media Madness, said, with the topic of the MCU, does Disney do the opposite of the princesses and do an animated MCU for the new universe? It would be a good way to reboot and give it a distinctive feel.
See,
So-
now, this is like the thing. For the past like 25 years, Marvel has done great movies, but their animated stuff hasn't been that great.
Mm-hmm.
DC killed on the animation, but their movies.
I disagree. Spider-Verse is fucking bonkers.
Oh, it's
Spider-Man-
bonkers. Yeah, I mean, it's not. They're not bad, but they're not as good as the
It's
DC.
also that's also
Spider-
not Marvel though. Sony
It's
did that.
Sony. It's not Marvel Animation.
True.
Yeah.
Fair.
But
Every time I think that, I know there's a distinct divide. I know that. I just always, I don't divide it when I hear Marvel go all one umbrella. And I know Morbius is Sony, but I always say Marvel. I know it's not a Marvel studio. It's Sony. It's a piece of shit, just like Venom 1 and 2 were. Got it. I know. I just don't differentiate.
wow. Okay.
But I get what you're saying, John, and I think they tried that with What If, right? Like, hey, look, we can go animate it and
And that wasn't
use
bad.
voices, and then people won't age. And it
Yeah,
wasn't bad, but I don't know.
But
Like-
I mean, with the the thing is, like they've really invested themselves in the Marvel Cinematic Universe
Yeah.
in live action. So there are opportunities with the MCU now and the multiverse to cross over with animated stuff. I mean, they passed through a universe that was made of paint. So like, anything's on the table basically. But the thing is they've kind of locked themselves into if they do some animation stuff, has to be part of the MCU.
He's about to say something. I believe JD is the reason why they can't go animated. He's in a good example. You didn't watch What If because you didn't like the animation.
No, I didn't like the one. No,
so
I didn't.
You wouldn't go see an animated movie in the theater.
I would have. Well, here's the thing, though, is like we've had generations now of animated Marvel properties, right? They've always been TV properties, right? The Marvel Cinematic Universe. I hate to use the term elevated, but it told us that it was bigger. And I don't think that because Drew, my buddy Drew, is talking about having an animated universe kind of replace the MCU.
Right.
And I don't think that would do that because we've educated an audience for generations that animating these things makes them less than and not as important. So I think that could you do it? Sure. Would it replace the MCU? I don't think that would work. That's pure marketing wise. I don't think you could actually just replace it and say these things are all animated now. I don't think it could be fun and they could be good, but I don't think it would work as like a replacement property or a replacement vehicle,
Yeah. I don't know, Kevin, would you go watch an animated Marvel movie in the theater?
Depends what it was. Depends who the character is. It's,
Yeah, I can see that too,
sure,
right?
Depends. Spider-Verse 2's got my money next year.
Yeah.
But I know it's not. It's Sony, I know.
I mean, even a broken clock is right twice, right? So hopefully those 2 times are, the 2 Spider-Man movies. The
3.
The Into the Spider-Verse movies, right?
Yeah.
And then finally, it's not Social Media Madness without mentioning our good friend Tim Jones. We had talked about Gore, the God Butcher. We finally got to look at him in the latest trailer for Love and Thunder. And we asked people what they thought of the look. And Timothy Jones chimed in with, he looks constipated. Also, he looks like a malnourished Uncle Fester in Gandhi's clothes.
Wow.
That's fair. I don't know if I agree with the sentiment, but they checked all the boxes. Like I can see the comparison.
That was kind of mean coming from Tim. I'm just shocked by that.
That's true. That is definitely more mean spirited than the guy who tells dad jokes. Sour Grapes, available in finer newspapers across this country.
There you go. There's the shout out. All right, that is all the social media madness for this week. So if you want to know how you can be part of social media and follow us on social media and be part of social media madness. Wow, I said that so messed up this week. Here's our good friend D Squared to tell you more.
Enjoying the show? Want to be part of social media madness? Make sure you are following superheroespeak.com, where you can find all of the show's social media links at the top of the page. While you're there, you can check out old episodes of the podcast as well as some other great content. Check the site often because we are posting some great comic reviews as well as comic book and movie news content every day. Make sure and follow us on Twitter at SuperheroSpeak. And while you're there, check out the rest of the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network. You can follow them at @stars_geek. The Geek World All-Star Podcast Network include great programs such as the Pop Prison Power Podcast, Cult 45, So Wizard, Fans on Patrol, the Gorilla Brain Podcast, and of course, Superhero Speak. Search for #GWAllStars. You will not be disappointed. Now it's back to Dave and the boys on Superhero Speak.
All right, thanks for that, Don. Don't forget to check out the Omega Level Nerds podcast, available on YouTube and wherever podcasts are available. And one more time, Kevin, while you're here, why don't you tell people where they can find Gutting the Sacred Cow?
GuttingTheSacredCow.com answers all of your questions. We are on YouTube. We are on every single podcast platform known to man. And we're also right now in the metaverse at the Joke Community Room in the metaverse. Whenever you're done beating off with VR goggles on, why don't you come on over? Come on over and watch us have a guest come over and try and take a film down while you go in your refractory periods. GuttingTheSacredCow.com, GTSC Podcast on Twitter. If you want to advertise with us or just stop by to say hello, GuttingTheSacredCow@gmail.com.
It's good, clean family
Kevin
fun.
Gootee.
All right, and we're on that note, we're going to take a quick commercial break so you can keep whacking off with your VR goggles, and be right back.
That's what I said for you.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
So, JD, I heard you recently interviewed a couple of movie creators.
Yeah, I did. My buddy Kurt Belcher, who's a comic artist, and his friend Bobby Smith are working on a movie. They got an Indiegogo campaign out for it. It's a pretty sweet idea for a horror movie, and I'm really digging it. I've backed their Indiegogo campaign because you know me, I love doing this stuff. I love talking with creators, and I like cool ideas. And these guys got a really wild idea for a horror film, so I sat down and talked with them for a few minutes.
All right, well, let's take a listen.
Hey, I'm JD Oliva, and I'm here with my good buddy Kurt Belcher and Robert Christopher Smith, and we're going to talk about your new indie film, Spread. So let's start off. Tell me about Spread and where this madness idea came from.
It really is madness, right, Kurt? It kind of did spring almost literally from madness. Kurt and I are buddies, and we both were born and raised in Kentucky, but we've never met. I live in California now, and we've been friends for well over a decade, and we're going to cure that soon. But we're almost a good example of the kind of characters in this movie because of the fact that we know each other like this, you know, like you and I know each other, JD, like this, you know, by screens. And it's not to ramble too much, but I made a movie called Vengeance Turns. It's a female Western. And I wrote it 5 years ago. We finally filmed it in October of 2020. Along the 5-year journey of that, Kurt did a lot of concept art for me. We would just be chatting just as friends, and I'd be talking about a picture or something in my mind. He'd be like, I'll draw it and I'll get it over to you.
And this is after we've known each other for years. And he was like, hey, do you mind doing, you know, some sketches for some characters and masks and like weapons and things that they use in the movies? And I was like, yeah, hell yeah, for sure.
It grew and grew to where really, whenever I refer to, you don't even know if you know this, Kurt, but I always refer to him as the art director on that movie because of the fact that he did so much of the art development and helped me with like visualizing. And when you ever see the movies, a lot of what Kurt and I came up with visually ended up on the screen, you know? So we've been
through the tie-in comic as well.
Through the tie-in comic, absolutely. So there's Vengeance Turns Volume 1, Vengeance Turns Volume 2. What we ended up filming was a 135-page screenplay that was too big, especially for an indie. So we cut it in half, did the Kill Bill thing, Volume 1, Volume 2. And we just screened Volume 2 last night for the first time. It was a lot of fun. It's got incomplete effects and stuff in it, but the people who were there were really impressed, and I was nervous as heck, but they really enjoyed it. So Kurt, there's Volume 1, Volume 2 in the movies, and Kurt drew Volume 3. So Kurt drew a comic book that literally overlaps with the ending of the movie and then carries on.
It doesn't just pick up or dovetail. It starts before that even ends and goes on.
It overlaps, so you kind of see the last scene again.
Yeah. I mean, that's sort of what Bobby had always told me is that, you know, I wish I could have done this in the movie, but it was just too far out of our budget range in order to film that last scene. So we made the comic the last scene.
And that kind of almost describes like the process of working on Spread to a degree because of the fact that it just came out of conversations. Like the comic book came out of conversations and me telling Kurt, you know, if we had more money, we would have done this. And I would, you know, blah, blah. And he's like, well, we're going to make it happen. And we drew the comic. He drew the comic book. We're putting it out soon. But when we have these conversations about movies, about comics, about COVID, about being trapped inside, about the good, the bad, the ugly of the whole lockdown and stuff for the past couple of years, there were a couple of different ideas that we started talking about. But one is I'm 53, Kurt's in what, mid 40s?
47.
So we're both in that OG range for like the slasher stuff from when we were kids, like, you know, grew up watching Halloween and Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, all that stuff.
And we're kind of chatting about it. And we're also chatting about film writing and stuff, like writing screenplays and stuff. And while we were talking one day, and I tell this story a little bit off the way it really happened, Kurt. So bear with me. It's kind of my formalized interview version.
Yeah.
But basically, while we were talking, Kurt was like, essentially, and this is boiling it down. Kurt was like, well, why haven't you ever done a slasher?
No.
If you know, with that being how
or any kind of horror film, really. I mean, like that's the thing that everybody's like, yeah, these indie directors, they always want to do horror films, and that's their way into making mainstream movies.
Part of the genesis, right? Of becoming a director is you cut your teeth on a horror film.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I just feel like, especially with slasher stuff, that so much of it's been done. And Kurt's like, oh, so what you're telling me is you have no idea.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, okay, I see. And so we really just started talking. I said, I got a kind of an idea about, and it was just a general idea. I said, with COVID and everything, I really am sympathetic to this generation of kids who have graduated high school and or college during this time and have been trapped inside because I feel like that's at this part of your life when you're graduating, especially college, where you are literally coming out of your cocoon. You no longer can be your parents' kid. You can no longer be the high school kid, the college kid. There's no more effing excuses at this point. Now you're out and you've got to basically go on with your life. And so it's been really interesting and sad. I'm very sympathetic as I see these people who seem to be trapped in their cocoons. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And they're, of course, they're doing everything they can to not do that. They're reaching out online. They're doing everything they can. And now we're allowed to go back out and stuff. But during that time, I thought, look at these people who are trapped inside. There's a lot of mental illness going on there. That's the breeding ground for a horror story, on a lot of levels. And I said, so what if, imagine that a group of kids, a group of 20-somethings, I'm sorry, not kids, I'm old, that a group of 20-somethings go out and trying to kick away from COVID, like right after the COVID thing breaks and everybody's allowed to go out. They're like, let's rent a house, let's get drunk, and the girl's like, oh, and I'll fix up your friend with my friend and we'll have a romantic weekend. Never works that way. We know that, even without COVID. But they're all desperate to see people and da-da-da-da. And once they get out there, I said, what'll happen is another person's just going to show up. Mm-hmm. That's not part of their thing.
And that reminds me of my original title for it. You remember what it was?
Blind Date Massacre?
Blind Date Massacre.
That's an
I love working
title.
I love working titles, man. I love working. And we actually went through a lot of working titles. And at one point I had a bunch of them written on a page. But yeah, Blind Date Massacre and Pig Killers were two of the early ones.
Pig Killers. That was, and a couple of days ago, somebody was asking me about, Rotten Tail and Spread and everything, and they were like,
"What is it with you?"
Well, that too. But they were like, "Yeah, I'm really excited about your pigs movie," and I'm like, "Pigs movie? Oh,
you're off the rabbits, man! I love the pig thing."
Yeah.
So when we were talking about that, I said, it'd be really cool that like this girl just shows up from out of nowhere and. That what you end up finding out is that she's coming there as a victim, but that's not true. That she's actually up to something really, really sinister. And then you find out she's connected to one of the people. I'm spoiling a lot of stuff right now, by the way. You find out that she's connected to one of the people there. And I'm going to go ahead and say it, Kurt. Not only that, they're brother and sister. They're intimately involved. And it gets worse than that, if you can believe it, JD.
Yeah.
And so they basically kind of set out on using the rules of horror that have been canonized, that have been laid out and formalized through horror movies like Halloween, Friday the 13th, and all that our whole lives, but then canonized and put into stone with Scream. When the whole thing of you can't have sex, you can't do drugs. And we just built a lot of that right in the movie. So it's a little meta, like Scream. And to lean into
that was one of our main goals, was to try to be kind of meta like Scream was. But we also
people know about that. We started off like that. It's two killers. Yeah. It's self-referential right from the beginning.
So one of the other things, of course, is we wanted to be very modern, have very modern social commentary involved with it as well, which is something we'll get into in a minute. What were you going to say about this? JD?
What were you going to say, JD?
Oh, I was going to say, so is this like, would you guys call this like a deconstruction of a horror film type of project? Or are you more leaning into what the slasher film really is?
I think leaning into it, but with the idea of there being some satire and some irony buried in it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
We really wanted to include some humor in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were talking about this last night, Kurt. The whole cast and crew got together last night, JD, for the first time ever. Mm-hmm. Well, not the crew. We're still building the crew, but the cast: Melody Para, Ian Peterson, McKenna Percal, Jacob Athal. Gosh, who else? Baraka Walston, Stefan Davis,
Sarah Maliski.
All of us got together, and my God, first of all, what a beautiful group of people, man. We were all really excited talking about the movie, and this one of the boyfriends or husbands walked over to me, and he was like, "So I'm listening to you, and I've been working on the script with her." At home, but hearing you talk about it, this is like funny. And I said, I hope so, man. I said, I hope a lot of it is. I said, I think some of it will make people literally like not want to look at the screen. If we're doing our jobs right, they'll want to look away. But I said, at the end of the day, I think, especially as they're walking out and talking about it, I think a lot of them will start laughing and going, incest? Really?
Yeah, I mean, when we think about some of the moments in there and some of the stuff we came up with, we just kind of just start laughing about it like, man, this is going to be wild if we can actually pull that off.
Once we kind of saw what we were doing, and we started typing back and forth. We opened up a Google document and we just started typing back and forth to each other about what if this and what if that and this character and that character. And Kurt created the first rule. I told him who I thought a couple of the characters were, and then he said about kind of creating the initial roster, and then I added like Smashed Fruit Guy and Mazzy and some stuff like that. I'm playing Smashed Fruit Guy. And so after we kind of had the story laid out and we kind of knew that we were kind of going to do this, I told Kurt, I'm obsessive compulsive. He knows this, and he is too, to his own degrees or whatever. However he wants to talk about his area on the spectrum is up to him. But I told him, I was like, dude, I'm gonna watch every fucking horror. Sorry about that. I was like, I'm gonna watch every horror movie that I can find like in the next month. And I watched 50 horror movies, about 100 hours of content, counting all the Halloweens, all the Nightmare on Elm Streets, most of the Friday the 13th. I watched the entire slasher series on Netflix. I watched all the Scream series on Netflix. I watched all the Scream movies again. I watched Last House on the Left. I watched I Spit on Your Grave and went through all this stuff. And I'm a nerd, in case you can't tell, folks. And so I sat there and I just took notes the whole time watching this stuff and going, okay, this is in every one of these movies. And this never happens, of course, because that's in the 70s. We don't have stuff like cell phones and And we just kept talking about this and picking it apart. And we wanted to make it meta. We wanted to make it serious, though. We didn't want it to be like Scary Movie or something like that.
Yeah, we weren't trying to be like a total comedy or anything.
We wanted to brutalize it.
Like that.
We wanted it to be brutal.
Mm-hmm.
But as we started writing the screenplay together, we really found ourselves literally just peppering in everywhere, like stuff like this is directly from that. You know what I mean? Like Two Killers from Scream.
Mm-hmm.
The way that one of the killers, like the idea from all the horror movies that you can't have sex or you get killed, they kind of, I think, show that for the best in Friday the 13th Part 2.
Yep.
When they're in that bed and Jason comes in and right through
Spear through the back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was a kid when I saw that, and it automatically put a thought in my head that I couldn't get out until Kurt and I wrote this movie, and we wrote something that takes that to an exponential level, that scene.
Yeah, that's really one thing we tried to do. We tried to take everything, all those tropes, and create a classic slasher, but from a modern perspective.
I love how you guys are talking about dissecting the tropes and embracing what works and what makes these slasher films really kind of stand the test of time. And I love talking about the subtextual levels of what this is. But like, shoot me the high concept. Like for someone who doesn't know what Spread is, like what's my hook? What kind of gets me in the door?
You do it, Kurt, and then I'll give it my spin if I see anything missing. But I'm really interested to hear how you do, because I've done it so many times lately. I'm interested to see what yours is.
I don't even know how to describe it. I mean,
I start off right with saying it's a slasher movie. I say it's
it's a slasher movie. It's something that I'm trying to think. You go ahead and say something, Bobby, and I'll try to figure out.
It's a slasher genre. It's a slasher horror movie that pays homage directly to all the classics and greats in obvious ways, while advancing the medium, not just the genre, but the medium as well, because we want to do things that make it relevant. And so without trying to make it a message movie, which is hard to do with a slasher movie anyway, we did want to embed, again, like we're talking about irony and stuff, there's a very, very, very strong spine of political satire in the movie. And so that would be my kind of elevator pitch.
Yeah, and we really wanted to throw in something like what Jordan Peele does in his movies, Get Out and things like that, with social commentary. And, one of the big things we were talking about was, like Bobby said, the pandemic, and trying to break out of the pandemic and get back to real life and all that, and how that just sort of is cut off, literally in some cases.
And I wanted to address extremism, JD. I wanted to address extremism because I was telling them last night that I'm stressed out, man, this week again, right? And I'm stressed about being stressed now. And I'm stressed now about being stressed about being stressed. It's become a whole thing. And
vicious cycle.
Yeah, and I said last night, that we are all being forced, and I'm assuming that I'm talking about both of you guys as well, that you're not doing this voluntarily, that we're being forced to live in a world where we are force-fed hate and violence in reality. I'm not talking about on the screen. I'm talking about murder on a daily basis, to the point where my parents, when I was watching these movies as a kid, they're like, you better watch out. That's going to desensitize you. You're going to grow up to be a psychopath. And no, allowing our kids to grow up in a world where people are being slaughtered and we do nothing about it, that is desensitization. When we can walk around in a world where that's happening and shrug it off, there's something wrong, man. And so when we were talking about extremism in this, I thought, the ultimate idea of racism, when you look at it, is, and here we are, three white guys pontificating on racism. Yay, us, white guilt, right? So, but the idea of racism being that really it's not even, when you boil it down, you get to like the old royals and stuff, where it's not even the same color. It's got to be like in the bloodline. And so we ended up taking this movie to a very dark, yet very ironic, very humorous, in the dark way, place by the end of the movie, where really the ultimate vision of the manifesto of this killer or killers in the movie is basically creating like a nation of inbred morons, a nation of violent inbred idiots.
Yeah, we really wanted to comment on the extreme politics of white supremacy in a way, and one of the
way
ways
that is
that
just so normalized.
Yeah, it is.
And how it gets normalized.
It's become so foundational for politics, for law enforcement, for all these things. It's become so foundational in the United States.
You find people who are vulnerable, and you groom them. And it's not hard to do, and especially like I said, in this world today. And that's, we called it spread because by the end of the movie, this is critical. Is that the idea of bad information spreads?
Yeah.
Okay.
And by the end of the movie, it really makes sense to people what they've seen, because phones appear on the screen all the way through the movie. And one of the reasons for that is we want people to see it and know it, that the movie is like their world. It's filled with this. And then at one point, the power goes out, and so do the phones. And that should also make the viewers feel a little uncomfortable, like, oh no, where are the phones?
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, the power comes back on, and all these phones start populating the screen, because everybody in the movie, when they get killed, another spoiler, is because they're all self-involved. Even the best, nicest people in this movie are very self-involved. That's the world we live in today. And so they're always trying to upload themselves, panicking because there's no internet, and they're trying to get their picture or their video to upload. And then they get killed. And so at the end of the movie, like in the old movies, like we are probably very familiar with, like American Graffiti, even Stand By Me, stuff like that, where they update you at the end. He became a senator and married his high school sweetheart. We want to give a little twist on that by putting these phones up on the screen, helping people relive those moments, and then having comments on it on their Instagram, which we call procrastogram. The followers are called procrastinators. And people, like one of the characters' name is Aishun. He's a Muslim kid who is very overshooting all the way through the movie, trying to get laid. He really wants to be with a woman really bad. But he's overshooting in a bad way. We've all been there. We've all seen it. We've all been this kid. And at the end of the movie, he's dead, and his murder is uploading, and there's comments underneath it going, oh, he's so cute. Where's my little Muslim angel and stuff like that. That's.
So like the pigs, I gotta, like, how does that relate to the story? As like someone who doesn't really, who's on the outside asking questions, and I've seen the pig stuff everywhere, and I'm like, okay, how does that entwine in this story?
Well, Kurt, do you want to take a stab?
Yeah. For that one, we created a fictional character called Hampson, and his creator, Jeffrey Loftedaughter, who has, who started out with the best of intentions with this character to sort of tell these stories that are incisive about current political events and that kind of thing. That was the thing with Hampson, is that he was the curious pig. He would always ask
questions. Ask questions.
Yeah. And that would sort of make people think, well, maybe he's right about those things. Any questions? Yeah, like that. But Jeffrey Loftedauter sold the rights to it and kind of became a recluse.
Who created Hampson.
Yep. And
who actually created a fictional character to create a fictional character.
Yeah. But he sold the rights to the character and got rid of it, but he kept the publishing rights to it. But after he saw all the commercialization and people that had kind of co-opted it for this alt-right symbol, taking his character that is supposed to be a sympathetic, sort of humanistic character, asking questions about terrible things, and turned it into something that would promote terrible things and terrible ideas. Yeah.
Are you familiar with that Pepe the Frog situation?
Of course, yeah.
So a lot of my actors aren't, man. It's funny because they're not as into comics and stuff. Yeah, and I explained it all to them, and I was sending them links and showing it and familiarizing. And that guy really was hurt. By what they did to his creation.
Yeah.
And again, this is in that idea of what happens through things spreading, right? That something becomes a meme, it spreads. Now it's out of the control of the creator.
Yeah, and that character sort of becomes a symbol of those dark corners of the internet where all that recruiting takes place for these extremist elements, for a lot of the alt-right and a lot of the white supremacist elements out there. He sort of becomes a mascot for that.
Okay.
Which the guy just, there's one of the masks. Which the guy kind of just loses his mind over and becomes a total recluse and disappears. Yeah. Nobody knows where he is now. So
yeah, people can actually look it up. We've created our own little viral stuff out there. So
that's cool.
If you look up "Where is Lofty Daughter," you can see little videos where I have people that are harassing this fake. One of my friends in acting class is playing Jeffrey Lofty Daughter, which the name Lofty Daughter is a name I made up. It's Icelandic, but it doesn't exist. That word doesn't exist. Lofty means air, and dotir means daughter. And so I looked at Calvin and Hobbes because Bill Watterson also had not as bad as Pepe the Frog, but had a little also bad experience with the commercialization of Calvin and Hobbes. And so I took water, son, and made air, daughter.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I see that.
Jeffrey Lofty Daughter. And one of the cool things, again, to tropes of horror movies is that we open the movie with a murder. A woman gets murdered. And then we immediately cut away from that murder to some people going on vacation. And as you meet every single character, even hear about characters, they don't have to appear on the screen. Every person becomes a red herring. Like as the two characters you first meet after this murder happened, you're like, I bet one of them is the killer. And then somebody pops into the front seat, you're like, oh, no, it's probably that guy. And then that guy starts talking about this cartoonist, and they're like, I bet that cartoonist is
and then they get somebody on a phone screen, or well, maybe it's them, or maybe it's that guy. And then they meet other characters, and they're like, well, maybe it's that guy.
So everybody through the movie is a red herring. Every single character. Every time we introduce a new character in the movie, we have people thinking that might be them. And sometimes it's because they literally, like Ashan, is wearing this while he's driving.
Yeah.
But they all talk about Hamson. A lot of them have the tattoo.
So it's become a big symbol in this world.
It has spread.
Okay, that makes sense.
Do you remember, I don't even remember Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses. He got in a lot of hot water when he was wearing the Charles Manson shirt. And everybody was like, oh, he doesn't know what Manson really is, and he doesn't understand how bad Manson was. And that's sort of what these characters are. Right. They're like, we have these Hamson tattoos. They're awesome. They're stylish. And they're like, but that guy's a murderer.
Have you seen where there's a killer, there's a rapist out there who's using this as his symbol? Did you know that?
Yeah, that guy, that's a mascot for like alt-right white supremacist murderers out there. So that's sort of where the pigs came from, is that they turned that into a mask and a tattoo and a whole movement that now is coming to fruition in the modern day.
Gotcha. So one thing that really interests me about, independent creators is funding and distribution of these type of things. And you've just launched an Indiegogo campaign, I think, as we're recording this.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, yesterday. That fascinates me. I'm an independent author myself, so I'm always, trying to find new ways to kind of get the work out there. So tell me a little bit about this Indiegogo campaign.
Real quick, make sure that we get links and stuff on anything that you've got working right now, whatever your most current is, and we'll take and get some spread out on that.
I appreciate it.
For you.
Thank you. So let's talk. Tell me about yours. Tell me about what you got going on right now. I mean, this Indiegogo campaign, it's interesting. Take me through it.
We started building it right as I started casting, before I even started casting, trying to decide. We looked at a bunch of Indiegogos that are a lot of campaigns that have been successful, a lot of campaigns that have not been successful, and looking what was good about the ones that were successful, what was wrong with the ones that weren't. And if you go look at ours right now, you can tell there's a little bit of a progress thing going on it, just because there was so much going on, but it's almost overwritten right now is the problem. And so, but ours is it's Spread Pigs to Slaughter, easy to find it. You can go to our website, spreadthemovie.com.
Spreadthemovie.com. It'll take you right there into a lot of other links and Instagram, sort of like a link.
Hashtag Spread the Movie is a real easy way to find us. But the Indiegogo, what I did is I put a lot of different options on there. I leaned into both sides of this, the spread side, so that people can like get pins, t-shirts, collectibles from the Spread merchandise side, or they can get stuff like Hamson. They can get Hamson pin, Hamson t-shirt. We had Michael Spivey, who actually drew Hamson. He was our Jeffrey Lofty Daughter.
He's the real Jeffrey Lofty Daughter.
He is. And it was funny because he didn't even know what we were doing at first. We kind of like just roped him into this. We're like, we're thinking about this thing, and this cartoonist is crazy, and da-da-da-da. And eventually we gave him the screenplay, and he was like, whoa. What were you guys doing? But so again, trying to use the marketability with Why the Pig, it also was the commercial side. We wanted to have, in all these masks, one of the things when we were talking about slasher movies was I was talking about that nothing new happens in that genre. You know, that only with like Scream, and then they kind of elevated it. Williamson and Craven kind of elevated it, and I was like, we need to do something on our own. I don't want to just have masked killers. If they're wearing masks, there's got to be a reason. So we ended up taking that very to heart and really creating mythology with Hamsun, Lofty Dotir, and all that. But we also knew, and we talked about it right then. We said, but this is also, Kurt, we're talking back and forth. We're like, if we're doing this right and this works, then we've got a marketable asset on our hands. We can use this for our Indiegogo. We can use this once the campaign is over and the movie is out in the world. We can use these. We paid Michael Spivey to create over 40. He's on his way to creating over 60 of these cartoons, of these comic strips.
Yeah.
And probably if things go well, we'll keep on having him do it. There's been fan art. If you go to the Instagram at Spread the Movie, you can see fan art that fans have done. There's more coming. Sean Seal is giving us some fan art, which is really cool.
What's sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so we're trying to really integrate all that and really give people options. One of the coolest things was we did character covers.
Oh.
So, because again, this comes from my comic book background. You know what I mean? And so we have the standard cover for the DVD, and that'll be available, to even the outside world. But just through the campaign, people can get that, or they can get whoever their favorite character is. There's a lot of beautiful men and women in this movie, so they don't even have to know them. They just go, "Wow, she's hot. Wow, he's hot." They can get the individual character covers, and if they're like big time collectors, they can get like the collector kit. So I really did try to put things out there that appealed to collectors. Stuff that was cheap though, also because that's like $800, to get the collector's kit. But there's also $15 pen. There's a $10 shout out on social media. And Sarah Maliski, who plays Eileen, she'll give, as part of that shout out, she's on TikTok and has like 350,000 followers. So you would be the people that we're asking to support us, we are going to support them. We want to be in contact. We want this to be like where we're in touch with each other, where it's a community. That's beginning with me and Kurt, and then it spread out to the actors, now to you, JD, and now to the audience. I really look at this as a grassroots movement, man. I've been explaining this to people about the Indiegogo, and I'm sorry, I know you still got a question, but the Indiegogo for me, besides funding the movie, is pre-building our audience. We're really, truly doing a grassroots thing here.
We are the studio.
We are the studio.
All of us are the studio. There's no studio interference. There's no producers to come in and say, you can't do that. There's no, no censors that can come in and say, oh, that's.
We can't blame anybody.
Yeah.
We're taking the responsibility, but we're also taking the glory. But I think I interrupted you a while ago while I was ranting.
No, it's really cool. I love, like I said, independent creator guy myself, so I love listening to stuff. I love when creators talk about doing their own thing and creating their own movement, and this is really cool. What's your funding goal though? Like, what are you trying to pull out to get this? 150 grand. Okay.
And it's really funny because it seems like a big number, but it's not. When you make a movie, what's called micro budget filmmaking starts at $1 million. So when you're under $1 million, you're not even in the micro budget level in this town. So 150,000 is not that much. You're talking about a cast of about 10, 11 people. You're talking about having practical FX, because Kurt and I are both, again, old school, and we don't want to do something where it looks like this when we shoot it, and then we probably add blood and stuff in post just because.
Yeah.
But there's one very graphic scene that, in particular, that we want to do practical. And in fact, I'm talking to a guy right now. I'm going to name drop him. His name is Sven Grandlund. I love these Nordic names, I guess. Yeah, he's also, I believe he's from Kentucky, guys, but he's in LA like me now. Okay. But he's done prosthetic and makeup for stuff that you won't have any problem recognizing. Deadpool.
Yeah.
American Horror Story. Several episodes of that. So this guy's got the legit cred. He's a friend of mine. We've been friends on Facebook for 10 years, but just now connected in a businessy way. And so that 150K is to pay people like Sven, to have somebody from the quality of Deadpool, to have somebody the quality of American Horror Story involved in our little adventure here. We want to
also just have basically one location, which is
that's it, the house.
Yeah.
And we'd like to hire. We've got two kind of roles: the lady that gets killed at the beginning and the cult leader Pug, who shows up at the end. We'd like to hire
pivotal roles.
Pivotal, but day player, if you know the Hollywood lingo, meaning they don't need to be there more than a day or so. We'd like to get some named, recognized, because the people I hired are professional, passionate, real working actors for this movie. But they all are available at a rate, and that I can access them. Whereas people that have recognizable names, they may not be any better actor or any better quality, but that name carries a financial price. You know what I mean? And we'd like to get 2 of these people involved. And so again, a chunk of that 150K would go to those people as well. And then getting it, festivals and things like that. But having a better crew, lengthening the length of the shoot, better effects, taking more time to shoot the FX, bring in those name brand actors. Those are the things we're trying to accomplish with that 150K. And interestingly, I had somebody approach me, a couple filmmakers a couple years ago when I was working on Vengeance Turns, my Western. I had a couple of filmmakers approach me and tell me that when I was running like a $10,000 Indiegogo or a Kickstarter, they said, that's not good, man. For a film, don't do that. They said, it looks like it's either not legit film, because who can do that for $9,000? Or it looks like you don't know what you don't know what you're doing, that you're way out of your league because you're saying, hey, look at me, I'm gonna make a Western for $9,000. And so both these guys that I was talking to independently, who approached me independently, both gave me the same number. They're both like, don't ever go under 100,000 when you're doing crowdfunding for a film because it won't look legit. It just, you know what I mean?
People won't take you seriously if you don't have a certain level of money involved.
That makes perfect sense. Like you need to play in the big boys realm if you're going to get treated like one of them.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like me and Bobby were talking about. It seems counterintuitive. You would think less money would be better, but it's actually, if you ask for a higher amount of money, then people are like, yeah, that's for real.
Yeah, it's a real movie. Because no one thinks a movie can be made for $2-3 grand, right? Yeah. You need to put bigger stakes into it, so to say.
Now, having said that, I hope people watch Vengeance Turns or get the chance to. Anybody that wants to, by the way, if you're watching JD's program, you can reach out to him, reach out to me on Twitter or on Instagram, and if you really want to watch Vengeance Turns, I'll send you a screener link and a password. I'll sneak that out to you. It's in festivals now. So I can't put it out publicly, but I can sneak out little private screeners. So anybody that's interested, I'll get those out. But I want people to see what I can do on almost nothing. And that's what we did on Vengeance Turns. We literally did. We filmed 2 Westerns. We filmed a 135-page screenplay with horses, with guns, with a lot of background, 5 locations, Big Bear, all over California. And we did that on about, I almost feel like I'm shooting myself in the foot by telling people this, but we did that on less than $50,000.
Wow.
Yeah. And so with having a legitimate budget, we can make something that stands right up there with the big boys. We can do
and it was a period piece as well, so you had a lot
costumes,
of that.
Wardrobe.
You had to build wagons, you had to build some locations, you had to have the clothing, the accurate clothing, and all that. So
with 150K in this movie, we can do something that will stand right beside the classics like Halloween and Friday the 13th and the original Scream and stuff like that. It'll stand right beside them. There won't be a bit of difference in the quality. People will be like, that is a multi-million-dollar movie. And we'll be like, no, that's what, when you don't have studios involved and all those little fat, greedy fingers getting in there, when you just take a talented cast and you reach out to audiences who really want to see quality horror and say, hey, come watch this. We're going to make something worth watching. Then you can do it on a lot less money than what the studios want you to believe. And I'm here to tell you that as somebody that's been around it on both sides. I've been in the big productions on one side, and I've been in very small productions on this side of producing it. And I'm telling you, man, a lot of money gets wasted and a lot of money gets straight up stolen. It's like the Pentagon and $5,000 toilet seats when you're in Hollywood.
And we're here to tell you that money is going to go straight into this movie. None of it's going
to the talent.
It's always going to it's going to go somewhere.
It's going to go
into somebody's pockets. It's going to go. Somebody is going to make
it better.
The people that make the movie are going to benefit from.
Every dollar will make this movie better, and that we can promise. And if we don't hit our goal, and we have to start cutting, Kurt and I have already talked about it. We'll the first 2 people that'll take cut. And without us, the movie wouldn't exist. But we're the first 2 to sit there and say, hey, this should happen.
As we wrap up, tell us one more time where they can find the project and where they can learn more about you guys.
What I love is just the spread the movie thing. I felt incredibly lucky that we kind of own that hashtag. People talk about spreading things. If you look up hashtag spread the movie, that's us. That means we also have spreadthemovie.com. We're at Spread the Movie on Instagram. Spread the Movie will help you get to us. What do you think, Kurt?
Yeah. Just look up Spread Pigs to Slaughter on Indiegogo as well, and that'll take you right where you need to go.
Yeah, I would love it. Anybody that it's right now, it still says it's for 24 hours. We're still inside that first 24 hours. I don't know when this is going to air, but just because they saw this, if they I'll leave the picture up even without the thing. If they go to our Indiegogo and back us at any level, they'll get the print from Kurt. If they do virtual, if they do a shout out, they'll get a PDF. If they do any physical, we'll literally send them the print with it. It's a Hampson print that Kurt did as Derek, one of the characters from the movie Meta.
Awesome. Well, I'm definitely going to be jumping in and supporting the campaign. I hope everyone that's listening and watching this does the same thing. I can't thank you guys enough for joining me today.
Thank you enough, dude. And we want to help share your stuff. So please, get it our way.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
All right, boys and girls, we are back. And you know what? I'm in the mood. Let's just get right into it. We'll do that discussion topic another time. Sorry.
I'm here. It's the only reason I'm here.
No. We're going to talk about the movie. The question that we had about from Kaysen. We had a question. We talked about Kaysen's other question. We'll do Kaysen's other question next week. So I'm sure he'll submit something, or her. I'm not sure if it's a man or woman. They will submit something else before next week anyway. But the reason Kevin is here is we're going to talk about a classic movie that is a cult classic, if anything. It's a movie that JD, you bring up at least once a month on this show. It's one of your all-time favorite movies, and that is Big Trouble in Little China, 1986. Yeah. So I'm going to go around the room. Of course, I'm sure this is something we all saw when we were younger, and now we rewatched it for this podcast. So I'm kind of curious. Did it hold up in your childhood memories, or did your feelings for this movie change? And we'll start with our guest this week, Kevin.
So you said it right. This is one film we all have seen as kids. It was on Channel 11 nonstop. There have been, I don't know, not long ago, it's been on cable ad nauseum. And as I said before, the remote test, as we call it on our podcast, is that whenever you stumble across a film on cable at any point of the film, do you drop the remote and go, yep, I know what I'm doing for the next half hour, hour or two, whatever it is left of the film. This film gloriously passes the remote test for me. I fucking love this film. I always have. I always will. And boy, I can't wait for someone to walk into that bear trap and try and come on our podcast and go, I'm going to try and take down Big Trouble in Little China. Good luck. Good. like in Taken. Good luck. Yeah. Kurt Russell as Jack Burton. I can make a case is almost as good as Han Solo or Indiana Jones as a character. Swashbuckling, ball busting. His tonation is great. I love the witty retorts he has. Every light for that character is green. He stays within the confines of it. I'm just a truck driver who can fuck shit up if I have to. Stumbles into this mystical world and just plays along his buddy Wang. He's the kung fu guy. Egg Chen, the magician, David Lopan, all that. And it's just the way, the repartee between him and Kim Cattrall, all of it works. And a lot of people were like, well, why didn't they make a sequel? And of course, I'm sure we did too. You know what? This, I think, would have been tainted if they would have tried to do a sequel. They do have comic books, and I did read one, and it's terrible, of after what happens after the film. It's basically that beast that's on the back of the truck. Well, we go through this whole netherworld Mortal Kombat kind of thing, and it's trash. So good thing that didn't come to life. I absolutely love this film. It has not lost a step in my book. Yes, we know there are flaws, but man, John Carpenter, he's got two. Halloween is great. This is great. A few other ones he has, not so great. But this is something you can argue is better than a guilty pleasure. I know it bombed the box office. I mean, it came out in the summer of '86. I forgot what was out exactly at that time in the summer when it was released. But man, it has a cult following. And find a dude over the age of 35 that hates this film. I dare you. Not going to be many. Promise that.
So you call it the remote test. John calls it the laundry test. Would he watch it while folding laundry? So, John, would you watch this while folding laundry?
Oh, not only that, I would probably not be able to stop. I'd have to stop folding the laundry and just sit down and watch. Like this is grab a glass of wine or some bourbon and sit down and watch. Like I've seen it several times since I saw it when I was middle-aged when it came out. And it's just fun. I mean, there's not a lot of movies you can say that are just freaking fun and fun constantly. That so much so that you can watch them over and over again. And this is just one of them. Like go ahead.
Sorry, just real quick. Sorry to interrupt this. I just found this. So 1986, Top Gun, Labyrinth, Gung Ho, Stand By Me, Cobra, Short Circuit. So it was a tough movie. It was a tough year.
Well, it was the 80s. So.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Karate Kid 2, Back to School.
So this fit right in, though.
Wow, that's a murderer's row right there. And here's the problem. This is PG-13. There were only a couple R-rated films in that batch you had just referred. So the competition was fierce for that. I mean, I saw Short Circuit in the theater. Shit, I saw a lot of those films in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Top Gun swallowed everything in its wake, but it's just bad release time. But man, it's glorious. Better than Labyrinth. I'll tell you that. That film stunk.
Yeah, I like Labyrinth too, but it's different. Like this is just fun.
Labyrinth 2. They did a Labyrinth 2.
No. Labyrinth.
Oh, that was awesome. I'm like, what? Was it directed VHS? I missed that. Okay.
Well, who knows, right? They might try it again. But yeah, I liked it. It's just a fun movie. You can sit down. It's like eating popcorn, and it never gets old, really.
So, JD, I know the answer to this, but did it still hold up for you?
It's one of my favorite movies. Like this is, I saw it as a kid, but I didn't remember it. I remember it was on HBO, but it didn't really resonate with me. And then in college, it became one of those things that we watched multiple times. So I have it's for me, when I watched it, I immediately can go back to hanging out with my buddies in school. And when I was, I was a film student. So like everyone else is talking about, Truffaut and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, dude, Big Trouble in Little China. And I would get deep in it talking about, because I've seen this movie so many times. I've listened to the audio commentary from Carpenter and Kurt Russell. I love everything about it. And it really didn't occur to me until recently, just how informative it was for me and how much it shaped a lot of the stuff I do. Because this is one of the first examples mainstream of like urban fantasy, right? It's a genre that's super popular now in prose work, especially. And this movie helps really set that foundation, because you have this urban setting and this guy wanders into a bizarre supernatural situation. I mean, how much of that have we seen, in both comics and film? And just this movie, it's ahead of its time in a lot of ways, right? And Carpenter was talking about how the marketing campaign sucked. The marketing campaign was Jack Burton is coming to save your summer. And nobody knew what that meant, right? Like they held back a lot of it. And it was this wild mixture of kung fu films, supernatural stuff, and like not slapstick comedy, but kind of that 80s, action hero type of thing. And it's this weird amalgamation of everything that works great. And I think this is a really interesting period in Carpenter's career, right? Where he's really bouncing outside of what he normally does, right? These aren't horror movies like this in a row. You got this, Prince of Darkness, which is more of a super like science fiction movie than it is a horror film, and They Live. That is like the Murderer's Row. And the next two aren't quite as good. I love They Live, but they all kind of pale in comparison to what Big Trouble in Little China is, right? Because it's something that's really different for him specifically. And even at the time, like we just went over this great list of movies. There's nothing like Big Trouble in Little China in that. No. And again, that's part of the problem. That's why I have a hard time connecting. But I think that's what's made it special and why people remember it so far.
I'll tell you why more and more why it's special. First of all, the obvious. It's quotable as fuck.
Oh my God, yes.
I still, I never drive faster than I can see. Besides that, it's all in the reflexes. Shit like that. See, you drive that. And also, I'm a big fan of the score. Carpenter does all of his own scores, and damn, they're all of his films, if not all. I mean, I can be fact check on that. You know how good this score is? I have some of the score pieces from Big Trouble in Little China on this very phone. That's how it resonates. And you think of the music, the part, oh, this is the scene where they're, look at them, guys. All that scene with ready to fight in the bottom of the where Lopan's about to get married. Like that screams volumes. But the quotability, I mean, you can just any dude, as much as Utah Give Me Two is ubiquitous, you can drop a Jack Burton quote in there, and I guarantee you, most dudes are gonna go, I'm with you.
Anyone over 35, like you said, is gonna know it. Like you're gonna hear it's all in the reflexes, and you just know.
Yeah.
Like it lands It lands so for me personally, it lands just so perfect. Like I can watch this movie anytime. Like I said, remote test. This is something that I'll feel like, God, I just want to watch Big Trouble in Little China, and I'll put it on, and I'm happy for 90 minutes. Like I don't know if I can call it a perfect film, but the flaws are kind of what make I like the flaws in art, because that's what gives art personality and character. And it's the weirdness of this movie that makes it great, in my opinion.
And doesn't take itself too seriously while being a little cheeky.
Oh yeah, not at all. Yeah. So just to go back to the other movies that were released around in the same year. Okay. So we said Top Gun, but like this was a crazy year. Top Gun, Blue Velvet, Stand By Me, Platoon, Aliens, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, The Fly, Labyrinth, The Color of Money, Big Trouble in Little China, Howard the Duck, Little Shop of Horrors, Pretty in Pink, Highlander came out then. 9.5.
So bad.
Crocodile Dundee, Short Circuit. Like you're talking like there are movies in here that are, a lot of these are cult classics now. And the, you know, and then a lot of the rest of them are just in our vernacular. You know,
The Color of Money and Top Gun both came out in 86. That's a hell of a year for Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
You know what, too? I'll give him this. Here's a fun little fact. Do you know they were supposed to release not only Top Gun Maverick this year, but Mission Impossible 7? And he fucking did it again. He pushed it back a third time. I love the mission. The rare thing with the sequels, the Mission Impossible sequels are far better than the first couple or three or whatever.
Yeah,
these last three are so bonkers, goddamn good. The first one we just did on our podcast a few weeks ago. I know people shit on 2. I understand why. I still like it. 3 is not good. 3 is the worst one. Great villain with Hoffman, but the whole plot is just wonky. 4 is where this thing starts to skyrocket. 5 is great, and Fallout. Holy shit! You can argue that as a perfect action film in the last 20 years.
2 was done by Woo, right?
Yeah,
John Woo.
Yeah, Woo.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you could tell by the flaming pigeons, right? So
doves,
whatever. Same difference.
So,
but yeah, I mean, like just the number of movies that came out that same year, and yet now we're still talking about Big Trouble in Little China. Like Little Shop of Horrors is rewatchable after they changed the ending because the audience hated the original ending. You know, Labyrinth, we've already talked about that. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, I don't know that it's
classic.
Yeah, it's classic, but it's not really rewatchable. Like
bullshit.
Are you out of your mind?
Ferris Bueller.
I don't think
top
so.
20. Top 20. It's easy. Again, another quotable film.
Yes.
Another 80s soundtrack that is so off the radar good.
True.
And listen, again, Ferris Bueller's Day Off did on this podcast. By the way, John Hughes, in this humble man's opinion, he's batting 500. He is very hit or very, very miss.
Yes. I agree with that.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off is a hit.
But if you want soundtrack, you go Highlander, right? I mean, Queen.
And we did Highlander. The one song, the opening song. By the way, also on our podcast, Highlander.
I'm sure.
Highlander.
I mean, how could you miss that one?
No, Highlander you think is good, and then you go back and watch it, and it doesn't.
I hate it as a kid.
Really, I liked it as a kid, and went back.
Did
and
not like it.
Ooh, that's why people bitch about the Highlander sequels. Like, do you really know the original? Like, are you really paying attention to it?
But the second 2 were the 2 and 3 were
they're bad. They're bad, but I don't think they're that much worse than the original. I think Highlander as a concept is really good. It's never really been executed right.
True.
Or there's flaws in the concept. If you want to say like that.
Flight of the Navigator came out the same year too.
I like that movie. I haven't seen it in a long time.
I didn't see that until recently. That's just 80s fuckery in a bad way. It's just cheese. I didn't dig it.
And Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home.
I like that movie.
No, that's 80s. I thought that's 87. Star Trek.
No, that says 86 here. So
okay, I thought so. That's the case. All right, I'm wrong.
But the thing is that
it's a good year.
Yeah, it's One Crazy Summer, one of my favorites of all time. So John Cusack. But the thing is, like with all these there, and I think of all of them, like this is one of the most popular cult classics that people still talk about. You know, I mean, you could argue not the most popular, the cult classic popular. You know,
I would say this movie is popular than a lot of those movies that released in '86. Like this movie gets talked about. Yeah, this movie's. I think this movie's held in higher regard than the overwhelming majority of movies you just named.
100%. 3 out of 4 people talk about this Big Trouble in Little China more than 75% of the time they do. There's only a handful, I think.
before I say what I thought when I rewatched it, I have a quick question.
Okay.
Just yes or no. Well, I know John's answer, so this is just a question for JD and Kevin because John's single. Did you watch this with your wife or your significant
My wife
other?
loves this movie.
Okay.
And she doesn't like you heard my wife. She doesn't care for most of the stuff I'm into. She loves Big Trouble in Little China.
My wife, she likes it, not near as much as I do because whatever. I mean, but she knows it. She can quote. She definitely can quote it too. But I don't think she loves it as much as we do.
Neither of my exes liked it just to add to my 2 cents, which is probably why I divorced them.
So there's a theme here, John. There's a through line you should pick up on.
I know, right?
So so I watched it with my girlfriend last night, and God, I don't think she was like me. Watched it when she was a kid. I've seen it quite a few times on TV since then. She's never watched it again since she was younger, and it's like this is a guy's movie. This is such a dumb guy's movie, and she just doesn't get it. And it's like, okay. And so she's tearing it down. So then I start tearing it down while I'm watching it. All the little
you pussy, stand your ground.
Well, I mean, okay. Let's get into this a little bit then, because one of the things that's been bothering me since I watched it, and I didn't remember the opening scene when he's at the lawyer talking about, and they're like, and I believe in magic or whatever, and then he says, oh, and the city block was destroyed by a green fire. Nowhere does that tie into the rest of the movie.
Well, that's okay. That studio added that because they wanted something to tie them. They didn't think they needed like an intro. They felt like just going in cold was bad, and they wanted a warm up piece. But that was Carpenter.
It did happen. It did happen. Remember how when Thunder and those guys that go steal Wang's girlfriend from the whorehouse? That's what happened. The green sky, the lightning came and zapped the fucking building open.
It just but I don't know. It was so weird. It didn't feel.
I just answered your question.
And not only that, it didn't have the same feel as the rest of the movie. It was just such an odd scene. It just didn't fit. And I agree with JD.
Well, I'm not making a statement. They give the studio added it on. Like Carpenter.
You can tell, but that's the whole thing. You can tell the studio went in and says that, add this to make it make more sense. So I don't know. That just was bothering me. But I mean, I definitely agree. This is such a guys cult classic. I have to say that because it's just guys being stupid. The karate, the fighting.
I think I have a reason why women they hate this. The very end, when he goes, "Aren't you going to kiss her, Jack?" He goes, "No," and just walks out.
I love it.
I do too. It's like all the women with the romantic. Oh, yeah. She's like, "Well, how about if we get the truck for 2 and we can, da 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 da." I was like, "Nah, I'll fuck it up eventually." I thought that was great. I was like, "Oh."
It subverted your expectations at every turn. Like they're going through the tunnel towards the end. And, they're like, there's something bubbling down there. I don't know what it is. And meanwhile, in the back of them, a creature reaches out and grabs somebody and pulls it in. They're like, okay, just keep going. It's like, wait, what? But the bubbling and what that thing and what the hell was that? They never give an explanation. It's like, go, 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 go. But that's fun because you're used to them taking time. Oh, here's some exposition. It's like, no exposition. We don't have time for that shit. Let's keep going. Let's get to more fun parts.
That's what I love about this movie is it is about subverting expectations a lot. Jack Burton is really the sidekick, right? It's Wang's journey, but Jack is so arrogant that he puts himself in the center of it, right?
Well, because he wants his fucking $3,000
truck, right? But I mean, that's these are Carpenter's words, not mine. Is that Jack Burton is the main character because he chose to be the main character. Like he is the sidekick that thinks he's the hero, and he fucks up constantly. Like when he blows up the Uzi and the bricks hit him in the head, right? So he misses half of the fight, stuff like that. Like he's an idiot, and that's the fun of that. That's what makes him also such a relatable hero. Is that he fucks up a lot, but he's still confident and he's still likable in the process.
And I think that's what makes it relatable to guys.
Exactly.
Because we can all picture ourselves doing that, shooting the ceiling and knocking ourselves out while there's a big fight going on. Yes. Where girls are like, that's just kind of stupid. It's like, it's supposed to be. It's a joke.
Right. And that's the thing of the joke is the movie is in itself is kind of a joke. It's kind of one long joke. And if you're in on it, it's fantastic. But I mean, I don't think it's fair to analyze this movie the way you would analyze just a normal blockbuster, because it really can't be seen through those eyes. It's kind of just a fun, silly movie that when you understand it's literally all about subverting expectations, it becomes a lot more fun. Because again, if a guy if someone else other than Kurt Russell played Jack Burton, I don't think it would work. Like Kurt Russell,
Yeah, it had to be. Yeah,
Kurt Russell completely understood what Jack had to be, because it's very hard, because he's a dick. Like there should be nothing likable about Jack Burton, but it's like that guy in high school who's a complete and total dickhead, but you still kind of love him anyway.
Stifler,
very Stifler, like very much, very good comparison.
I love Stifler. He still makes me crack up.
That's a great comparison of it, and like because it's Kurt Russell, because he's so damn likable, and anything he does, it works. And the lesser actor.
Did you know Kurt Russell screen tested for Han Solo? There was footage of that.
I have seen that.
Oh, jeez.
So did Christopher Walken.
Yeah, well, that would not have. Wouldn't have worked at all.
Kurt Russell, yes.
Imagine.
I don't know about Kurt Russell either. Like it needed really low key swagger, and Kurt Russell is all about the big swagger.
There's an audition video out there of Kurt Russell, and I think it's William Catt from Greatest American Hero as Luke. It's pretty interesting.
Oh, geez.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories of people that auditioned for that movie.
Because like Lucas and De Palma were sharing they're auditioning same actors for Star Wars and Carrie at the same time, so they saw a lot of the same people.
Let's not forget some of the other actors in this too, because Kim Cattrall is in this, and so is James Hong. James Hong has been in movies
forever.
Since the 1950s. It goes back to. He's also, most people listening to us probably know him as Poe's father in Kung Fu Panda, or he's going to be in the new Gremlins, Secrets of the Mogwai series. But
if that thing ever comes out,
yeah, true. He's been in a few.
Also, Wayne's World 2. What a glorious piece of shit that was! But he was in that film. Yeah, he was just in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. By the way, you know who died on 9/11? Egg Chen. But not in the terrorist attack. But
just last
year.
He
actually died. Yeah, he just died on 9/11. That's how.
Hang Chen, which
Egg Shen,
Victor. What's his last name? Yeah,
Victor Wong.
Yeah,
Egg Shen.
Victor Wong.
Right? That's a shame because he was amazing. He could they picked like the perfect people for every part of this. Really,
it's well cast, man. It's really well cast. Do you have more? Do you have more blasphemy to throw in this movie, Dave, that everyone else is praising?
What?
Do you have more blasphemy to throw in this film?
No, I don't have any more.
Your girlfriend didn't like it.
No. No, I do have a question though, and it's complete seriousness. Could this movie be made today? And
no,
I don't think so.
It's not quite as bad as Blazing Saddles, but it's still not like.
I've never heard anyone go after this movie as being like insensitive. I can see the argument being made, but I don't think I've never heard it. But if someone said that, I probably would have to unlisten to the argument. That said, I don't know if anyone has the guts to make a movie this ridiculous that just wades into a completely different culture. I don't know. I know The Rock tried and it never got off the ground.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. It's like these days, like we were saying before, most of the producers and studios, they're going to the well. They're going to see what worked. Let's see if we can make a number 2, number 3, or a prequel or whatever. Like this. It must have been ballsy to make this movie. Not as bad as in 1980s where they made a lot of very weird, very first time movies back then, but
Carpenter had so much cachet from Halloween, from The Thing. They're like, sure, John, whatever you want, here's your budget.
But the thing wasn't a critical success back then, though.
No, it was not a success at all.
No, Escape from LA. There's another one we forgot.
Yeah. That's another great.
Escape from New York. LA was in 97, and that was a piece of shit. That's another film that does not hold up. Escape from New York, by the way, guys.
Really? I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Yeah, right.
I did a Twitter poll on the Guarding the Sacred Cow page because some guy was like, we were talking about Escape from New York and the character is Snake Plissken and of course Jack Burton. I go, more people like Jack Burton than Snake Plissken. He's like, you're wrong. You're so wrong. The poll came back 51-49 Snake Plissken.
Really?
I'm floored.
Wow.
Shocked to hear that.
I'm not surprised.
That the sequel has to tarnish that to some degree. I know it's not his fault, but it's just, and Escape from New York isn't that good. It's all nostalgia based. That's what we do in this podcast. We go, you can't rely on nostalgia. Watch it again. That shit does not hold up. Big Trouble in China does.
And there's a lot of Carpenter movies that I don't think hold up that great. I don't think Assault on Precinct 13 holds up real well.
No.
I don't care for that one. I do think The Thing holds up really well. I think The Thing is something that people came to appreciate
more and more
later on.
Yeah.
Like, I do think that's a really good one. But I mean, that's what I like about Carpenter is he doesn't like just stay in one lane. Like, he will venture out and try something. Like, he made Starman. You know, that's a weird movie.
Never saw it. By the way, The Thing, I liked it better when it was called The Alien, because that's exactly what it is.
It's very similar.
What do you mean? It's fucking carbon copy. This thing runs away. Except possesses him instead of just goes in his chest and kills him.
Well,
but it's the
that's
same
what makes
thing.
it's a different movie though, because it's a it's like a trust movie as opposed to just a horror. Like instead of a scare what's around the corner horror movie, it's a who do you trust horror movie, which puts it a little bit different. But I get your argument. Like I can't.
Yeah.
Well,
definitely in the same vein. I can't argue that at all.
Just remember that The Thing is a remake of The Thing from Another World from the 1950s.
Yeah, but it's a very different movie.
Oh, it is a different movie.
Yeah.
But it took its. I mean,
it's like in name and setting only.
Yeah.
Like The Thing from Another World is very different than John Carpenter's.
But it wasn't like you looked at Alien and said, oh, I'll do that. But I don't know. Like, I don't, like I said, I don't know what to say. This, how much more can you say about this? It's like this, every once in a while, I'll say, I've got some time to spend. I want to watch something fun.
It is fun.
And this is in that vein.
All right, we've been kissing this movie's butt. So I gotta know, is there anything in the movie that seriously that you didn't like or has bothers you about the movie? We'll start with go ahead, John.
No, good.
You go first.
Originally I was kind of upset at they didn't end up together, but now it's like it subverted my expectations. Like that made it better actually. Because that's what you expect.
And you're probably thinking, oh, great, he doesn't have to pay alimony. Well, there are certain perspectives that I have. But yeah, otherwise, I can't tell you anything about this movie. Like, it just, you accept it for what it is. It's not one of those movies that I can really, I know I like picking stuff apart, but I really can't pick this one apart because it's just, it doesn't take itself seriously, so I don't have to take it seriously, which means that you can sit there without having to worry about anything,
Roger Ebert always talked about you have to evaluate a movie by what is it trying to do, right? You can't look at every movie the same way. Like, what is the movie's goals? What is it trying to accomplish? I really think this movie does what it's trying to do, right? It is what it wants to be. Like, it's not a confused movie. It's not a muddled movie. Like, it's like when they made it, it was a Western and they updated it. Right. So it hits that. Like, it does feel like a Western, but at the same time, like, it has these Far East influences that are all over it. Like, it's this pop culture Cuisinart, and it hits it. It hits it. Like, it's exactly what it wants to be. So honestly, Dave, nothing bothers me about the movie. Like, it makes me happy when I watch it. So, I mean, like, I can't sit there and say, well, Carpenter could have done this and could have done that. Like, I think everything works. Like, I think this, like, people, someone say, well, I don't care for the soundtrack. And I'd say, well, you're wrong because that's what it's supposed to be. But, the Coupe de Ville's Big Trouble in Little China song is silly, but it's supposed to be silly. So, I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I think it works. I think it hits what it wants to be. And very few films do that. Very few films are so unapologetically what they are.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll tell you why this film really works. All of what you said is above is all of you guys, what you've said about it is very true. The characters are so fucking endearing and likable. And guys like me have mimicked the goddamn main character's speech pattern in jest or even just for the hell of it, because he's that much fun. There is no fat on the bone. It's like an hour and 35. It gets in, it gets out. It's like Dredd. An hour and a half of shit blowing up is what you want to see, right? Well, Dredd gave that to you. One of the few reboots I enjoyed the shit out of, I argue, probably the best reboot, maybe the Star Trek film you could throw in there. But other reboots, you can go fuck themselves. This, again, same thing. 95 minutes or thereabouts. Action, bing, bang, boom. Characters, quotable. And like you said, as we said before, it doesn't take itself seriously. Humor, all that. Done. No complaints. There's no fat on this bone.
Okay. All right. I will take that. I mean, I think the only thing I would cut out is that opening scene. I just feel like it's unnecessary. Like, we can just start with Jack in the trailer.
I mean, like, Jack Carpenter agrees with you. So, yeah. I mean, like, I can't fight it. But for me, I enjoy it because I think it gives you a slight taste of what you're going to get into, right? Just seeing Egg Shen do that little bit of magic tells you what this movie is going to be. And quite frankly, the audience in 1986 didn't know what this movie was going to be.
True.
So I think I think it does work, and I accept the argument. It doesn't bother me because, Egg Shen's awesome. So
yeah.
I wonder, I can't remember, but I wonder if they took part of what the preamble that they put in there and used that for the commercials. So the audience did know a little bit of something besides the, we'll save your Christmas or whatever the
Jack Burton will save your summer. Coming to save your summer.
Yeah. I mean, like did they tack that on after the movie was finished or?
Yeah, it was the marketing camp. Oh, the opening scene.
Yeah,
that was reshoot. That was pickup.
Yeah, so maybe they did that and then they threw it in the commercials,
which was dumb because you should have just showed the someone fucked up. Just should have shown the three storms doing cool shit. That's all you needed to do to hook people in there and Jack Burton fighting them.
I agree.
Instead of that monologue, which it didn't really bother me. He kind of tells the story without like once upon a time, blah 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 blah. He says, "Hey, Jack's pissed, and why you after Jack? Jack's a great guy," and goes into it.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. What was I going to say? I was going to say something about the three storms. Oh, I will say this: when I was younger, I thought the one of them was supposed to be Raiden from.
He sounded like Raiden.
They have that is a major lawsuit. I am floored. Never happened because that's exactly what that was. Because when Mortal Kombat came out in 1990, I don't know, 2. We're like, holy shit, that's from fucking Big Trouble in Little China. Every kid across America said that. I even have I should have worn it today. I do have a shirt. Got it last year. Just the three storms. I thought it's kind of cool.
There's a lot of lawsuits that came out of the original. That could have come out of the original Mortal Kombat. Like you're going to tell me Liu Kang isn't Bruce Lee? Like, straight up. Like it's there's a lot, but that was the big story when I was a kid too, because I'm younger than you guys. And when we saw Mortal Kombat or Big Trouble in Little China, Raiden, that's supposed to be Raiden. It's one of those like the Ultimate Warrior died and they had to replace him type of like apocryphal playground stories.
Or Fei Long in Street Fighter Turbo with Bruce Lee.
Yeah,
I do want one of those hats though.
They're cool hats.
So what is it? Carpenter did Starman just before Big Trouble in Little China, and then after that he did Prince of Darkness,
and then They Live.
Yeah,
I said that earlier in the podcast.
I know. I'm just looking at it as Christine.
Yeah, They Live was 88.
Yeah.
Okay.
They Live was 88.
This is
and the thing was 1980.
This is just more proof that John doesn't listen to the podcast
while he's recording it.
I'm whatever. Posh.
All right. All right. Favorite Jack Burton quote from the movie.
Oh my God.
That's a quote right there. That's one of the quotes.
All right, here you go. Here's mine because I do this all the time. People running around here dropping like flies, and where's that getting us, huh? Nowhere. Fast. Old Jack Burton always says at a time like this. Who? Jack Burton. Me. Old Jack always says, what the hell? Perfect diction, too.
I'm a very reasonable guy, but I've just experienced some very unreasonable things. That quote right there is like shaped everything I've ever created. It is just the perfect, like Joseph Campbell, stranger to strange land, throw a hero into a situation quote. It's just perfect. It is a perfect sentence for a movie.
Well, that was going to be mine.
I beat you.
John?
Okay, you people sit tight, hold the fort, and keep the home fires burning. And if we're not back by dawn, call the president.
That's why he's a cocky, snarky fuck, and I love that.
I know.
I love the scene when they're escaping and everyone's following them after they get out of the sewer, and they're at that door, and he's like, all right, he's telling them like, we'll get right out this door. We're right out. We're home free. 1, 2, 3. He opens it. There's all those.
They only saw me. Hide.
Well, it goes. He closes it. And goes. We might be trapped.
That's some like Warner Brothers shit right there. That's why it's so perfect, man. Like again, if you put anyone else in that role, I don't think they quite get the balance between arrogance and being in over your head, but never losing your cool.
And he says them as a straight man. Like
it's almost like
he's saying-
It's almost like a John Wayne-esque delivery, right?
Yeah.
Like the way even the rhythm in his delivery is kind of like that.
He says it with a swagger. It's like
It's so great, man.
Was another one that just remember what old Jack Burton does when the earth quakes and the poison arrows fall from the sky and the pillars of heaven shake. Yeah, Jack Burton just looks at that big old storm right square in the eye and he says, "Give me your best shot, pal. I can take it."
I can take it.
It's great stuff.
God damn.
I bet they had the best time writing that script. I really do. Like,
yeah,
it's just epic, man. Like the stuff, and it's like you don't get movies like, I don't want to say this anymore, but it's very rare you get a movie that's this quotable. Like there's just so many great quotes you can pull from it. Like virtually anything Kurt Russell says, and a lot of the stuff that Lopan says is pretty quotable too, to be honest with you. Same with action. I mean, there's
my favorite Lopan. You are not put on this earth, Mr. Burton, just to get it.
So great.
Sure.
God, I love this movie.
Yeah, man. Slide over, buddy. This is a fucking winner.
Do you think all of his quotes are Carpenter, or do you think Kurt Russell had some input in the?
So they have such a
dialogue?
great relationship that it wouldn't surprise me if there's a little bit of there's a little bit of Kurt Russell in there too, because they'd worked together. I think this is their fourth movie.
I was about to say there's at least two before this. So
when they did the Elvis
They
movie.
Live, Escape from L.A. Oh, that's right. Yeah, and,
Did the Elvis movie, The Thing, Escape from
New York.
Yeah, this is their
Yeah.
film. So they have a great relationship, right? So I think that actually pays off too. I think when an actor and a director really like each other and have like a great back and forth creative flow, you get stuff like this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. All right. Well, I don't think we can
kill
say
that shit, guys. Right?
I was about to say we can't say anything more about this show or this movie. Okay, so let's revisit this question that we've brought up on this show before. Would you want to see a reboot?
No.
Yeah.
My rule is simple. If you already did it right the first time, you don't need to do it again. See, and I haven't seen these reboots for this thing. RoboCop, the original, is fucking great. No need to see that again. Point Break, amazing. Total Recall, genius. I am not wasting my time. By the way, and those reboots, PG-13. So not only do they sully our intelligence, they also are insulting us by they're watering it down. With those three reboots. No, thank you. This film is perfect. Do not touch it. My only time you should do a reboot is when the original sucks. And again, Judge Dredd sucked. Dredd was fantastic because it sucked. Do it over when it stinks, not when it's done right the first time.
Okay.
I've long advocated a Highlander reboot.
Yes,
because I think that
talked
could work.
talked about that. Yeah.
They'd have to clean up the mythology first and make sure.
Well, it's a reboot, man. They would have to reboot it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe when they have a guy who's actually Scottish, doesn't need to play a Spaniard in the film.
Or a Frenchman play a Scot.
I told you my concept for a reboot.
What did you say? Which concept?
They're fallen angels.
Oh, that's
I'm not
different.
familiar with that.
So,
how about they reboot Jaws 4? That was a real piece of shit, right, fellas?
Everything after Jaws 2.
After one.
I think everything after Jaws.
Jaws 2 sucked too, my friend. Let's not get it twisted.
Yeah, but
2 was terrible.
Which one's
Jaws
for
3
revenge?
But compared to Jaws 3D and 4,
okay.
come on. Jaws 3D and
They're all
4.
terrible. They're all bad.
Jaws 3D
listen.
is they're in SeaWorld. He's killing people in SeaWorld.
I know, but it's like Jaws 1 was
like that, to be honest.
Jaws was great. Jaws 2 was okay. You fell off the cliff and hit Jaws 3.
I can't
and
believe
then you
this is-
bounced down into the ocean.
By the way, Jaws was on our podcast. Someone tried to take down Jaws.
Really?
Wow.
That I gotta find.
That would be hard to do.
It's there.
Like I said, there are some things that are sacrosanct, and that's one of them.
Listen, our list of bulletproof films, like this is never going to get touched. Like damn near a lot of the only ones I can think of top of my head that are not been attempted: L.A. Confidential, Shawshank, Goodfellas, Casino. Those are the four. And Godfather 1. We did, 1. Someone did 2 on our podcast. So,
like Jaws is one of those movies where everything that went wrong only made the movie better.
better.
like,
I know.
Like Bruce malfunctioned, so you don't get to see the shark as much. Great, it heightened the tension. It's like they couldn't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
Shoot from POV. God, Spielberg's a fucking genius.
He is.
Except when he did Ready Player One. Oof. Ouch. Bad.
Well, that was I don't know. Like
if you read the book, you took personal offense. So
well,
there you go.
The book was
that's
all
one of
over
my favorite
the place
books
too. The book was all over the place.
That's one of my favorite books of all. That's my favorite books of all time. I love it.
I don't know. I kind of thought he went off the rails when he said, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to finish AI." There's a reason Kubrick didn't finish it. The story wasn't done.
Yeah, but you got to remember, he was friends with Kubrick, and he tried to finish it like Kubrick would have, but it was hard because he was mixing his own.
Because he's not Kubrick, right? You get you get some stuff. You can see there's stuff in that movie that's very Stanley Kubrick, and there's stuff that's very Steven Spielberg, right? Like, it's fine. I don't love the movie, but it is what it is.
I haven't seen it in 20 some years, and whatever. We'll see. Yeah, Spielberg, the last 15 has been off for me. I love him. He's my favorite director for the first 35-ish.
I cannot argue with you. I can't think of a movie I've really liked of his in a long time.
I mean, those last few, I didn't like Lincoln. I didn't like Bridge of Spies. I didn't care. The one with the paper, the newspaper one he did recently. The Post, boring. Yeah, it's War Horse, didn't give a shit.
Oh, God.
Ready Player One. It's been rough. Well, guys, we did it.
Yes. All right. Well, I think that is a good place to wrap it up. So let's go around. First, Kevin, you can plug your podcast one more time. And then
this has been the greatest. This has been the greatest appearance because I got to do a fucking 20-minute commercial for my podcast. But in case you fast forwarded through it, guttingthesacredcow.com. Our guests pick a film they find overrated or hate, trying to convince us, the host, to see their argument. But of course, the film must meet one of these criteria: widely beloved, critically acclaimed, or a financial success. David came on and tried to do X-Men: Days of Future Past. Other films have been done: the aforementioned Jaws, Back to the Future, The Matrix, Die Hard, Mission Impossible, recently American Pie, Beverly Hills Cop this week. Next week, upcoming weeks will be Speed, will be RoboCop, will be, I mentioned, The Natural, as well as The Exorcist. So we have over 140 episodes. The Dark Knight, can you believe that? Every Batman film has been done except for Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, and Batman 66. So those are only Batman films. Superman's been done on this podcast. Indiana Jones, all 3 Indiana Jones films have been done too. Go figure. So you guys have got your homework. So guttingthesacredcow.com. I'm Kevin Gootee, KEVINGOOTEE.com for wherever my stand-up dates and whatever. But Gutting the Sacred Cow, give that a look. YouTube, all podcast platforms. Boys, appreciate the talk.
Well, you messed up. There's actually 4 Indiana Jones movies.
No, I did mess up because no one acknowledged it.
All right, and then do you have any recommendations besides people listening to your podcast, or did you learn anything on the podcast this week?
Did I learn anything on the podcast? I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt you. You're speaking.
No,
first.
you go. You're the guest. I usually go first, so please.
Okay. What did I learn? I need to go watch episode 3 of fucking Kenobi now. I know I need to do that. I learned a couple things about Carpenter I did not know. I did not know that The Thing was an original film from the 50s. I did not know the original Little Shop of Horrors. I saw the remake in 87. I was like, this sucked. And I did not know they changed the ending. I never saw the original Little Shop of Horrors because if I didn't like the reboot, maybe I won't like the original. And I don't like musicals, but I know they changed the ending according to you fellas. So I learned a few new things tonight. So cool.
All right. Cool. JD.
I learned about this podcast. It sounds right up my alley. And I keep, every time you listen to something, I'm like, dude, how are people going to say it? Which is what you want. You want a good hook for a podcast. So I'm in. I'm very excited. I'm not finished yet. I'm reading Shadows of the Empire because I'm on this Star Wars kick, and I'm quite enjoying.
Oh, I read that. Wait. Is that the one with that's with the Nintendo 64 game, right?
That is correct.
Dash Rendar. I read that book years ago when the game came out in 64. It's fucking good. They should have made that movie J.J. Abrams instead of The Force Awakens and that shit.
I tried reading it in college, and I left the paperback in the cafeteria, and I lost it. And I was like, I want to read this book again. So I've been really enjoying myself. It is really good. It's really held up. Shame it's not canon anymore, but it should be.
Well, they are bringing a lot of that stuff back.
They are, and Prince Shizor is a very interesting character that I would love to see brought to life.
And I would say I'll re-raise Grand Admiral Thrawn in the Zahn books, the 3 sequels. Shit, why weren't those films made instead of the one that J.J. Abrams? Those are perfect. They teed everything up beautifully. I go, wow, how did we miss that? And that came out, I was graduating high school. It's 95 when that first one came out. What are we doing, guys? That's Disney. Go to the library or Amazon, whatever you want. And those are your scripts. Thank you.
John.
What do you want from me? I mean, like,
you got a recommendation? You got something you learned? What?
I've got, I don't really have a recommendation. Like I said, I'm in the middle of rereading all of Jim Butcher's books. I'd suggest reading those. They're way more fun than I remember. And this is like my 4th read through.
Which one are you on right now?
I'm in, what is it? Jeez, I'd have to look it up. It's Death Masks. So
Okay,
number
okay.
5.
You're not watching an anime with a crazy title?
No, I just like
Shocked.
this. Well, it's been a long time since I've been able to focus and read books. I'm kind of happy I'm back onto, which means I can catch up on all of your books where I'm dead. So yeah, I'd say Jim Butcher, because he's coming close to his 3-book Armageddon, and
Is this going to happen? You guys have been talking to me about this for like 5 years, and I don't think it's ever.
He's written.
He just released 2 books.
Okay,
yeah, he took a bunch of time off
because he got divorced and had a health scare, but he's back on the horse, and he is still one of the best writers. Like, I'm reading his beginning books, and I cannot understand how much alliteration he puts into this stuff. Like, I don't know where he gets the length and breadth of his vocabulary. Sometimes.
Yeah, we reviewed the first 2 on the show last year.
Yeah. So go back and read and watch that, and then read the books. So that's it for me.
All right. Well, I would recommend that you go to superheroespeak.com, where you can find the podcast every week. Links to our social media at the top of the page, comic book reviews by our good friend D Square, and much more. And I learned that JD and I are much better Star Wars fans than Kevin and John, because we couldn't wait to see episode 3.
Dude, I'm the guy who constantly misses the Marvel shows, and John's always giving me crap about it. So
exactly,
it feels weird to be ahead of the curve.
But I don't have any recommendations, and go check out Gutting the Sacred Cow, a show where
there's a recommendation.
Where the 2 Kevins set themselves up to be heroes every week, defending the movie you love, while they bring some schlub on to try to tear it down, and they can go, see, we were right all along.
Sometimes it's just us, the opposite of what you did that day. Sometimes we all sit there and shit on it ceremoniously.
I've heard comments where people said they agreed with some of the points I made, so we'll leave it at that.
You made some salient points. Doesn't mean the overall argument was the result that you sought and achieved.
What happened when you woke up, Dave?
Oh, wow.
Well, on that note, boys and girls, as always, thanks for listening, and don't let your cape caught in the door.